Hello, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Renee, also known as Miss HG Mercury from the Sunshine Coast Pinup School. I'm a vintage stylist and a pinup photographer, and today we're going to be talking about the midi haircut. What is it? Why might you want it? Why did I get it? And why did I grow it out? Twice. So let's go. So if you have been in the vintage and pinup community for any amount of time, you may have come across the midi haircut. It is talked about often when we talk about vintage curl sets. It is a hairstyle that you can think of when you think of most 1950s curled styles. So think Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor. This was a short style that was in a curl set, and that's what you get that quintessential pin-up 1950s curl style from. Now, I did talk about this previously when I went through my vintage hairstyling books. I'll leave a card. There are complete cutting diagrams down to the exact sections that you take and the exact length of the haircut. This book actually features all of the cut styles from where did we go? We went from the shingle plus. So the shingle is a really short hairstyle, and then you've got the shingle plus, was just that little bit longer. We have the baby, the midi, and then the midi plus hairstyle. So all of these have different lengths in which the sections are cut. So the length on a midi haircut, that pit that's right from the nape of your neck all the way down, is 3 3/4 inches. And if you pulled your section behind your ear out, it is 4 inches. And it went in a U shape, and then that U shape was taken all the way up in sections, and then each of those layers was stacked on top of each other. Now, why would you want to get a hairstyle like this, and why did that haircut become so popular within the vintage, within the style back then and within the vintage community now? When you have your hair cut in a vintage cut, it was made to be curled. It was made for curl sets. Traditionally, back in the day, you used to go to your hairdresser and they would set your hair. You'd sit under your hairdryer. That's where all those images of all the ladies with their weekly social catch-ups getting their hair under the hairdryer set. Your hair would be set into the style that was made with your haircut to be the best for your features and all of that. And then you would have those curls and that style throughout the week that you would maintain until the next week's hair appointment. So that was what the well-to-do ladies back in the 50s did, and that is where this hairstyle comes from. Now, I came across this lovely diagram, and I've always wanted a midi haircut. I am very blessed in the fact that my hair grows fairly fast. It's a double-edged sword when it comes to my fringe, but my hair grows fairly fast. So I am able to experiment with different haircuts and different hair lengths because I'm not going to be stuck with a haircut for a number of years before it grows out. I can go, and I have gone, from a midi haircut back to this length within a year. So I know I'm very fortunate in that, and I've been able to experiment with that. This is quite a severe haircut. When I first got this hairstyle done, I actually ended up searching for a hairdresser on the Sunshine Coast for a good 6 months of somebody that understood what this meant. It is blunt. It is not feathered. It doesn't have any of those features that we know with modern hairstyles where you want it to have that wash and go style. It is a very blunt sectioning, and it is not very underwhelming when it's not styled. So not a lot of hairdressers want you to make that commitment because they don't want to follow a vintage cutting guide that you may not like the result at the end. So my suggestion is, if you do go to a hairdresser to get a midi haircut, find a resource. This one is the Creative Hair Shaping and Styling book. It's from the 1940s and it has the exact measurements on what to do. You may be able to find some diagrams on the internet as well, and take it to your hairdresser, someone you trust, someone who knows you, someone who understands your lifestyle and know that you are willing to commit to this hairstyle, to this haircut, because they know that you are going to style it and give it justice, and you're not going to bag them on the internet because they gave you a choppy, disgusting haircut. So I went and got a traditional haircut. This, where are my front sections? So the front sections as well, right at, let's see if I can, oh man, now I can't find it. Anyway, here it is. Yeah, so each of these front sections have a certain length as well. So when I first got it done, I had my Betty bangs and I was growing out my Betty bangs, and I got them to the point where that first section in my front crown, where that level was. So my hairdresser at the time was able to just trim that section to keep it all straight instead of that slight curve that I had with my Betty bangs, and then work those, it's like 4 sections. Yep, 4 or 5 sections that's stacked like that. And then you've got each of these sections back here. Now, I rocked that hairstyle. I will insert photos and videos. If you want to go way back in the history of social media on my Miss HD Mercury and Sunshine Coast Pinup Schools Instagrams, you'll be able to see some of the styles. I'll insert some of the photos that I still have on file. It was fun. I was able to pick up a vintage curl set pattern and follow it to a T. Some really fun ones that I did. I was able to recreate some hairstyles from Jane Russell, for example, and it was fun. I had my black hair, but for me, I did not feel like myself. I have come in, I'd say like I've come into a self-awareness of knowing what my style is and how, when I look at myself in the mirror, I identify with myself and not in a costume and not dressed up and not painting myself in an identity within pinup and vintage just to suit everybody else's versions of what they think it should be. I'll leave a little thing to pinup perfection that I talked about, which is a very important thing to consider. And as soon as I wear glasses most days as well, so I have my glasses and I have my curl set, I didn't feel like myself. It was really fun. I learned so much about vintage curl sets. And so when you do have that choppy hairstyle, each curl section that you do, when you pull it out, it is like if you just take like a sponge roller as an example, it is the exact width of a sponge roller. And then when you pull out each section of about 2 centimeters, it is perfect. Like, it's straight section. You just roll that section up. When you brush it out, each of those layers that you have sit on top of each other. So that's how you get that really nice like halo of curls. These sections are shorter, so you're able to get those really beautiful S waves. It is an insane game changer for vintage hair. However, it is a style that you have to style, otherwise it's a bit so it's very underwhelming as it is. I found, for me, my pet peeves with this style was, so let's go through the cons and then I'll go through the positives and then I'll go through the negatives. Positive was I could pick up any most vintage curl setting patterns and follow that pattern and I would get an achievable result. I had very predictable curl sets. I was able to curl set my hair with sponge rollers, do a dry set with sponge rollers with my midi haircut, roll it up within 10 minutes, if that, 5 minutes, because I didn't have much down here. It was only that 4 inches. So if you can think 4 inches, it's like roll, secure, quite quick to do. I remember we actually had like a little sleepover before a car show grease fest, and we were all setting our hair the night before, and my friend, I was like, oh, I'm done. And my friend's like, whoa, that was fast. So it is really fast. I could wash my hair. I had like a week little routine that I had with my hair and my curl sets. I'd wash my hair, I would set it, and then just roll around with a wet set with a turban for day 1, and I do like a poodle for day 2, and then day 3 would be quite a frizzy curl set, and then day 4 would be, and 5 would be a little bit softer, and then day about 6, 7, I would start pinning the sides up just because the front sections would get a little bit dropped. So I had a full week of vintage hair, which was awesome. I only had to set it once. I didn't have to recurl it every single night on my hair anyways. I didn't have to recurl it, and it was really fun. The cons would be everyone's different. I hate having hair in my face. I will roll a half up, half down most of the time. I hate putting your head down and having your hair in your face. The sections that are required for an authentic to the book midi haircut, the sections are about here, which are just enough to be in your eyes and just short enough to not be able to tuck behind your ear. So you had to do, unless you just wanted to do a headband all the time, I had to do something with my fringe section of my hair every day. Roll it up, curl it, do something with it. It was also too short to get into a ponytail. So on the days like, you know, when you're cleaning or you're exercising or you're doing anything like that, I could put it in a ponytail, and then you take a few steps and all of these layers just start falling out. So that was a little pet peeve that I don't like. I like the ease of long hair, that you can have it out, you can have it up, you can do most of the things with it. And it went from, because I have really fast growing hair, it went from perfect vintage cuts, from when I first get it cut or trimmed or whatever, perfect vintage curl sets, to 2 weeks later, change up your game, change up the way that I curl it, change up the length that I curl it for, and I had to readapt because it felt like it grew out really fast. And as soon as it touched my shoulders, my curl sets were just not as cute and popped up as I liked, and these little nape hairs would just end up straight, and it was just, you know, it wasn't a really cute style for me. So I grew that out, got my bangs back in, and then how many years ago was it? I don't know. But when I started filming my online vintage curl sets course, I knew that I wanted a short hairstyle to be able to accurately demonstrate the difference between different methods and how different, like for me, I might do a little thing up here, how different for me a wet sponge curl set is compared to like a heated hot roller set. And when you have short hair that's off your shoulder, you can see the exact comparison between different methods. And I really wanted to be able to demonstrate that as part of that online course. So I took this book again to my friend, my hairdresser, who she knows that I'm into vintage. She was shit scared of cutting my hair into this haircut, and I kept my bangs in, and I got her to follow the style of everything else. And I am going to just insert a video straight from my vintage curl sets course, showing you exactly what that hairstyle looks like, exactly what that haircut looks like, unstyled on my hair with its natural kinks. And yeah, have a look at how it looks when it's unstyled.
Pin me up, I'm your pin-up girl, won't you? Pin me up, I'm your pin-up girl.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. And since we're getting up close and personal with you, let's get up close and personal with me. So, this is my natural hair. It's basically like a layered bob. It is a modification on the Midi Plus hairstyle. So this is my natural hair. It is almost at its virgin state. There's just a tiny bit left over on my ends here from growing out from years of bleaching and dyeing and all of that. So I've basically got virgin hair now. So I've got my hair cut into Betty Bangs, and this is the modified midi plus haircut. So it is basically in a horseshoe shape like that. It goes in a U shape there. At its longest point, at its nape right here, so these bits here are about 5 inches long, and then from here it goes up and it's measuring at about 4 inches long at this bit here. As you can see, my natural hair state does have little kinks in it, does have little flips. This side sometimes likes to curl in naturally, and when it is long, it does form its own natural waves. So therefore that tells me that it's going to be responsive to curling because it has natural kinks into it. It's not dead straight hair for mine. It is also fine hair, but I've got a lot of it, so it is quite thick. So that's another thing that you need to consider when you're doing your curl sets, on the thickness of your hair as for drying. So this is a modified midi cut hairstyle. I'm not saying that you need to get this haircut. As you can see, unstyled, it's quite choppy. The layers at the back are quite blunt, but this allows all the curls, as you've seen, to snap up and stack on top of each other. It's just one thing to consider when we go through the troubleshooting lesson in module 7, that this type of haircut gets the results that you're seeing. And back to my hair done. So quite a unique haircut. It isn't something that I was comfortable to go out in public without it being styled. I could get away with it a little bit because I had my fringe. I could just put, you know, grip tooths on the side, but then I had these layers sticking out, which, you know, weren't the best, but it's a commitment. Before you dive straight into a midi haircut, it's a commitment. You must be fully comfortable in yourself. If you are, oh my God, you are amazing. You've nailed your curl sets. You're comfortable with doing a curl set on routine. A midi haircut will make it so much easier. Why would you want one of these hairstyles as well? As if you are struggling with your curl sets, if you find that they are dropping out and you're not liking the shape that you're getting, doing a midi haircut or a hairstyle inspired by the shape of a midi haircut. So there we go. Let's go to the midi plus, which is the long style. It's still only 4.5 inches from the nape, but if you can get your hairdresser to cut it in that U shape, where you will have shorter layers at the front, so more face framing layers, you're going to get more of those beautiful curls that you may be desiring from your curl sets. So that is why a vintage cut may help you. The bluntness of a vintage cut will also help with your sectionings. While you are rolling, you're not going to get so many little, when you pull your hair out and start rolling, you're not going to get so many little layers falling down that you're going to have to try to maintain. Your curls will actually, because it's a haircut, your curls are going to maintain as well a lot better. So those are the reasons why you may want a midi haircut. I had fun. To be honest, I had so much fun with it, but personally for me, I did not feel like myself. Even especially with my black hair without my Betty bangs, even when I had my hair short with my Betty bangs in my natural hair color, I still did not feel my authentic self. And that is something that only comes from experimentation in our clothing, in our style, in how we embody pinup and embrace vintage aesthetics. You find what is comfortable for you, and that involves experimenting, that involves trying out little things and seeing how they are. If you want any more information on the midi haircut, then just, leave a comment. Let's have a little chat. I am not a trained hairdresser. I do not cut or style hair. Oh my God, look how sunburnt I am. But I can suggest ways to find somebody that knows what they're doing. So yeah, let me know if you've considered the midi haircut. And yeah, if you like it, let me know. I love hearing everybody's journeys on how they find themselves. It's getting to summer right now in Australia, which it's bloody hot, and long hair for me is getting a bit, but at least I can put it up. That is the only thing that is stopping me from cutting all my hair off again, is the fact that I'm able to quickly put it up into a messy mum bun and get on with my day. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed this little ramble, and if I will leave links to this book and my socials and stuff if you want to sit there and scroll and entertain yourself. But yes, I will see you next week. Make sure you subscribe. I upload every Friday, and make sure you're also following me along on all my socials. I'm my most active on Instagram, and I've got TikTok and Facebook and all of that down below. If you would like to learn about more vintage curl sets, don't forget to check out my online course, online vintage curl sets, how to find your perfect curl, which is all about taking a scientific experimental approach into learning about your hair and the way it curls and the way you want it to look, and finding out what is going to be the best curl method for you. Okay, I will see you next time. Bye bye.